So for myself, there's been some recent mental reactions. Whatever effort is being made prior to that has, whether or not it's directly because of it or an accumulation of multiple things, but the mind has been very unclear. It's been very foggy. So much so that often it's very hard to consider a simple activity, whether it's what to have for my next meal, or what needs to be done in the first part of the day. So there is something within me that sees the state of the mind. Part of this reaction has been also physical manifestation of some chest pain as well. That has been, perhaps I've mentioned it in prior episodes, but for the last couple of weeks, on and off, and perhaps certain activities or interactions has brought up the pain itself. So there's been almost a forced slowing down. I was putting effort in certain areas, especially socially, seeing people and whether it's friends or family. There's effort in finding work, the working with the trauma that has occurred during the years where there's been difficulty in that area. So it has been in the midst of confusion or fogginess. There's been the clarity of simplicity. What else is there to do but to try and manage this moment? So there's almost this scaling back. If my mind is thinking, okay, what do the next 2 hours look like? And there's just complete chaos, nothing clear coming in the mind. It's just what to do for food later. That turns into, okay, do I need to eat now? Is there hunger? Checking the body. No. Okay. And the mind is not happy. It's almost fighting, or it's trying to understand itself, or what's going on. Why are things so chaotic? Why can't thoughts come clearly? And of course, perhaps giving the mind attention, maybe a story would develop. An unhelpful story that maybe I'm going backwards, maybe we use a label of mental health, the health of the mind, it's going backwards. And this may be true, this may not be true. In the space of now, there's the intelligence of what is needed right now. And so there's been a slowing down these past couple of days. There's been not seeing anybody, minimal interactions. It's been just sort of disengaging from the work side of things as well. Whether it's applications or interviews, it's dropping that for the moment. So it's looking at what is needed and what is no longer helping, what is actually in excess, what there isn't a capacity for, and dropping that for the moment. And just tending to the simplicity of now. And this is an ever useful pointer. It's always, in some ways it's always fresh. To the mind it's stale. If you were to give this to the mind, it'd be like, it would think it's insanity. But of course, the sound and the surface of the word has no meaning. It's what it's pointing to that's fresh. It's the uncovering of now. The uncovering of being, which is not a doing. You can use the words connection or awareness. So on some level there may be a storm. It may be very turbulent. And it's being aware of the space that the turbulence is occurring. So for myself, it's the mind it's in. It's in a difficult way. It's not functioning as the mind you would expect it to function and have clarity, to have clear thoughts. And perhaps for the time being, there's no analysis needed of perhaps all of the ingredients of the past couple of weeks, all of the efforts I've made, all of this and that, and what exactly caused the mind to be strained and stressed, to shut down in some ways. Perhaps the intelligence, the awareness may come to that conclusion through intuition, through, or perhaps at some later point, maybe there's space for to use the mind to take in a situation and to learn, to use that wisdom in the future. And there may not be any answers. You may understand, but words may not come easy. And people may ask questions of, how is your week? And perhaps an answer may come, but perhaps it's a good reminder as well that words will always come up short in explaining these things. And that perhaps a reminder for me that I'm not investing the illusory precision of words to fully unveil and explain everything in rich detail and crystal clear clarity. That to the mind, that's interesting. It wants that. It wants another mind to understand and say, "Oh God, oh, you've been through a difficult time." And, it wants to tell almost a story of what's happened. And of course, it may be needed in a social situation. There may need to be some words to express how your week has been, but you're not looking for yourself in it. You're not looking for completion or validation. Your only purpose, your primary purpose, is the now. The impersonal now versus the personal potential story that can develop in when words are shared. There's another mind, perhaps a mind energy, perhaps the person you're talking to maybe talking from their mind, and it's drawing your mind energy to tell them about what happened. I read a quote this morning as I woke up very tired, difficult sleep. It sensed the body very tired. So a quote by Eckhart, probably won't say it word for word, but the general gist was him talking about transformation. The key to transformation is saying yes to this moment, to be friendly with the present moment and allow it to be. And you'll know from your own experience that if any action is needed from then, it will happen. That to the mind this may seem very passive, that you're not doing anything, you're just giving up, you're just hoping or letting things happen, that you should be proactive, you should be doing this, but in the space of inaction becomes intelligent action, rooted action. So the antidote is the simplicity. Of course, almost simplicity is almost too much of a heavy word. It's subtler than that. But for the moment, we'll say the simplicity of now and what is needed. Right now, the mind is calm. It's relaxed. It's not in gear looking for something, trying to figure something out. But whether it is calm or it is not, you allow. And within that allowing, you will know what to do. Whether that's nothing, just sitting, whether that's going for a walk, making a phone call, from the space of rooted connection of the now there, with the question being asked, what is there to do? Quite often you may find very quiet, subtle, silent. Well, nothing needs to be done. But of course, if we consult the mind, then the mind likes to get involved. There's always something to be done when it comes with the mind. It's never enough. There's always the need for more. So perhaps for me, sitting here recording and being in the now, it's what is needed for me. Perhaps in all of the outward effort, inward effort as well, but a lot of the outward effort this past couple of weeks maybe it had taken a toll, maybe not. But here in this moment there is rest. Rest for the body, rest for the mind. And there is just the alert presence without effort. Perhaps I'll dip into the Karma book by Sadhguru, see if anything wants to be shared from where we left off. So a couple of sentences here. There's some notes here about the suppression of life. The suppression of life is most definitely negative karma. Now, what do we mean by suppression? Doing something you do not want to do is not necessarily suppression. Some traditions, for instance, encourage practitioners to fast at certain times. This is not suppression. People often think that not doing what they want to do at any given moment is suppression. This is not so. Suppression simply means you are experiencing life half-heartedly. To live fully is to allow yourself to experience something totally. If you allow yourself to experience hunger totally, it is wonderful and liberating. If you allow yourself to experience food totally, it is also wonderful and liberating. Unfortunately, people do not experience either hunger or food totally. If you avoid any experience, whether pain or pleasure, sorrow or joy, it is big karma. But if you go through the experience without resisting it, the karma dissolves. So, we won't go any further than that. So to experience something fully requires your attention. Your full awareness. What can often fragment this is thinking. Perhaps you're eating and maybe you're thinking about what to have after this. You haven't finished what's on your plate. You are eating dinner, thinking of dessert. Or worrying about how your day had gone. And before you know it, your plate is empty and you haven't acknowledged or been with the experience of eating. It's almost as if you weren't there. So it also goes back to the quote that I read this morning of Eckhart, the key to transformation. So it's fully accepting this moment, whatever form it takes. So the form can be pain or pleasure, sorrow or joy, as it says here. But you are there, you are with it. There is no resisting the form that is here. To resist is to say no. I don't want this. And the no covers up experiencing fully what is going on. The no often has a personal investment that the little me does not like this, it does not want this. Versus the wholeness and the inclusiveness of presence is, this is what's here. There is no ingredients to separate that, to dilute it, to try and wish it wasn't to be, or it was something else. The essence of presence is totality. And to the mind, this would again seem insane, that if you allow yourself to experience hunger totally, it is wonderful and liberating. And what is wonderful and liberating is the space in which the hunger arises in. The liberation happens in the space of now. The transformation occurs, that Eckhart points to, is in the space of now. And in the now, it is allowed, it is here. How can it not be? How can you not say yes to what is here? And he's saying, be with it. Living totally does not mean just having a good time. It means experiencing anything that comes your way fully and intensely. The very process of life is the dissolution of karma. If you live every moment of your life totally, you dissolve an enormous volume of karma. And again, it's not to give this to the mind. The mind may see this as a life sentence that you've got to live totally for the rest of your life. How on earth can you do that? But there is only the now. There's not days or weeks or years ahead, there's just the now. And can you experience this moment fully? Are you here? Are you aware? Sense perceptions, thought forms, emotional forms, physical sensations, breathing. So I'll end this episode by just rereading this here. Living totally does not mean just having a good time. It means experiencing anything that comes your way fully and intensely. The very process of life is the dissolution of karma. If you live every moment of your life totally, you dissolve an enormous volume of karma. So perhaps we can do a few more moments of just sharing awareness, of just being. And to remind ourselves that living totally, it's not an achievement, it's not an accomplishment. In some ways, it's not an effort. There is just the alertness of now that is needed. The qualities of presence is. Totality is the intensity that is required. Thank you for joining me for this episode. I wish you well, and see you again very soon. Take care.